Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it is not easy to be the last speaker, but I would like to introduce you into the supply system of gas, natural gas. It's not easy to speak in the last 15 minutes because I've presented to our, I promised to our moderator that I'm going to be short enough to be able to finish on time. But I would already start by skipping some slides. In the previous section, some colleagues said that there is enough coal in Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary, and there is also natural gas. We have some secured and guaranteed reserves in this aspect as well. So we have guaranteed resources, but the question is, where is this natural gas? Almost 70% of this gas is in Russia and in the Arabian countries. So this 70% is concentrated to one spot. The next slide, just a couple of words about it. So the overall consumption of Europe, not only the Union, but the entire Europe, is around 500 billion cubic meters. And out of this, our small region of Central Eastern Europe is about 120 billion cubic meters. That's what we have consumed. This is about a fourth of the entire consumption. So you can see every individual country and its consumption. It's interesting that Hungary, Poland, and Romania, although they have different consumption indicators, but still they are very close to each other on an annual level. These are the data of Hungarian gas supply, and we are close to 3.5 billion consumers, and the number of communities supplied with natural gas is the second largest in Europe after the Netherlands, but we are proud of it, but there are many problems related to this. Now, from a practical perspective, I would like to sum up a couple of aspects which are very typical for the Central East and Eastern European countries. We are largely dependent on imports. In the last couple of years, due to the effects of the economic crisis, we have been able to observe a tendency, especially in 2009, that the consumption growth is lagging behind, and the risk management questions are very different in individual countries. But we will get back to this. Dependence on import. Let's stay here at the effects and the consequences of the world economic crisis. If you look at these data, I have only highlighted 5 countries, but every country shows a very important fallback in data. The year 2010 has been a little bit different already, but one thing is sure, as regards the entire Europe, it means a reduction of 6-7% compared to the last period. Now, let me formulate the security risks of gas supply in Central Eastern Europe. I would like to focus on 3 major points in my approach: the capacity of gas reservoirs, the infrastructure development, and the diversification of procurement and acquisition. First of all, in the capacity of reservoirs, my friend György Balogh has summed up very nicely this situation. But another thing is that we had a lack of gas in January 2009, and it has highlighted that it is very important in those countries where the capacity of reservoirs have been already tackled earlier. They could survive this blackout period, these 2 weeks, and luckily Hungary was among these countries. So that's when I said to myself that it was a good decision in Hungary to expand the capacity of these gas reservoirs. Now, infrastructural developments, and still getting back to the lack of gas, in January 2009, that was a historical period for gas supply systems. Many things have happened since then, many decisions have been taken, and one of the most important points that we actually realized how serious problems we got in the whole infrastructure in the entire Europe. Let me say an example about this. Spain, in this time, proposed several hundred of millions of cubic meters of gas for Europe, but they couldn't transmit it to different countries because the pipelines weren't supposed to carry gas in that direction where they wanted to transmit this gas. So then the Energy Committee of the European Union, in their SOS regulation, they have actually ordered that all the pipelines in Europe should be able to be used in two directions. And fortunately, Hungary has taken the right decisions in order to implement this regulation of the EU. Now, thinking about transborder pipelines, just a couple of words, between Mako and Arad, and Városföld and Slobodnica, there are short and longer ones, so 55 and 296 kilometer long, the two pipelines. And we have we've spoken about the Hungarian-Slovakian pipelines, so I don't want to go into details on this aspect, but we are also planning a pipeline to Slovenia from Hungary. The Visegrad countries and Croatia, Romania and Bulgaria have elaborated joint plans for the development of infrastructures so that we can guarantee a secure gas supply in the region. And one pillar might be that north-south direction, and we will never have a north-south pipeline in the classical sense. What can we do? Now we need to connect the Baltic Sea to the Adriatic Sea region. That means that we need to attach different pipeline segments to each other, establishing this way a segment or a unit which enables to transmit gas from Poland to the Adriatic Sea from both directions. This is far further in the future, but many steps have already been taken on this aspect, and between Slovak Republic and the Czech Republic, many plans have been made, and the Czech and Polish connections have been already established as well. And these are parts of the north-south corridors. Everybody is talking about what is going to happen after 2015 and 2016, when after the 31st of December, when the Gazprom contracts are going to be void in Hungary, and these are going to be tough debates and discussions for new contracts with Gazprom, but to establish a good dealing position, we need to reach diversity in our acquisition aspect, and we shouldn't forget the South Stream and Nabucco, because these both could be actually constructed by them, but maybe none of them, so we don't know exactly. But let's check the trails of these pipelines. Both start from the same region, from Central Asia, from the other side of the Caspian Sea, and one of them is the South Stream pipeline from Bulgaria through Serbia until Budapest, and then the other one is Nabucco from Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary, and that's how the gas gets to Baumgartner. And the two tracks are not the same, but they're not too far from each other. But in the next slide, no, in the next one, I would like to show you the most important parameters in this aspect. Many information are mentioned, but I think in October 2012, these are the most important information. And the South Stream, we are planning of $16 billion as investment on Nabucco 12 to 14, and there is 63 billion cubic meter per year for the South Stream. This is what's planned, but now it's been reduced, and in case of Nabucco it has been 35, but now we're talking about 20. So the termination of the project is not yet sure. So for the South Stream, there's a plan to finish it by 2016, but Nabucco is not sure at all. And let's see the special characteristics of these two pipelines. Nabucco cannot really make a step forward since 8 years already, because there is no gas production company which actually guarantees a gas resource at the end of the pipeline. There is only one field of natural gas that could be calculated with, because I know the gas fields in Azerbaijan very much, but for example, Turkey is counting on 20 billion cubic meters per year. Out of 20, it's counting on 6 to 10 billion cubic meters per year. And that means in Europe, European countries, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary might only get access to 10 billion cubic meters per year, which is already a very scarce resource. As concerned the Southern Stream, we see that many gas fields close to the Caspian Sea are actually in Russian hands. Hungary, from the aspect of Hungary and Central Eastern European countries, it's not very beneficial, because they are still going to remain dependent on Russian gas. And it's getting even more complicated, because the pipeline has to be pulled through the ground underneath the Black Sea in a 2,000-meter depth. It's never been done before to use these technologies, so this is something that also complicates the implementation of this plan. And liquid natural gas might be the winner, because it gets a more important place in the use and consumption of natural gas. On this slide, you can see how fast its use and consumption develops in the overall consumption. In 2000, it was only 7%. Last year, it was 18% already. So this is a large growth, looking at the world's overall consumption. And even from Europe's perspective, it's a large growth. The biggest exporting countries are Qatar, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and Algeria. And the American Gas Association, 2 months ago, they have mentioned the 2011 December 4% difference only between natural gas and liquid natural gas consumption, so only 4.6% of difference in pipeline gas and liquid gas. This is a very important point from the point of view of LNG. And another remark concerning LNG. There are many terminals of LNG already in Europe, and there are 6 in Spain, 2 in Great Britain, and many other LNG terminals are supposed to be built in the near future. And with the eye of the expert, what is really influencing the consumption of gas in the region? So in the different countries there might be different decisions in this aspect, but if Germany takes some kind of decision, it might have a stronger influence on the price of the gas. So there are many important resources, and even in Iran, for example, there could be several billions of cubic meters of gas that could be transported to Europe, and this all depends on the decisions that we're going to take in the future. And a very important other aspect, the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India and China, how far, to which extent they are going to use in the following decades, they're going to use gas. Because their consumption of gas is growing by 8 to 8% year by year. And in China, there is something happening every year. It's a marvelous development that they are performing. And look, this is how the first consumers have carried their energy resources, and now they're carrying it this way. So everything is changing in a fast manner. So this should be the same in Europe. Thank you for your attention.